don't let these headlines get you off your game, right? I mean, I've been through up markets, down markets. There's opportunity out there because there are people that do want to transact. If you're not getting educated about local and national real estate market conditions, trends, news, fake news, like the Federal Reserve Chairman resignation letter that circulated this week, you're doing yourself and your client base a disservice. This is the Knowledge Brokers podcast. I'm Tom Toole here with Lisa Chinatti and Byron Lazine, and we have 6 takeaways from the Realtor.com 2025 housing forecast update. We also saw that 1 in 7 pending home sales fell through last month, the highest June level on record. There was an MLS data breach. Byron's got a take on that. I'm really excited to hear. And Patrick Bet-David and Tom Ellsworth, his CFO, I believe, they talked about the Wall Street Journal putting trash headlines out there. Surprise, surprise. We're going to cover it all. Let's start with the RDC stuff, Byron and Lisa. There were 6 takeaways from the housing forecast update from Realtor.com. They released that this week. I'll run them down. I want to get your reaction to this. Number 1, inventory's up, but buyers aren't jumping. 2, sales revised down for 2025. Realtor.com now expects 4 million home sales this year, 1.5% below the 2024 total of 4.06. Home prices are rising, but more slowly, looking at a 2.5% year-over-year increase. Mortgage rates will remain elevated, and they're still predicting 6.4% by year-end. I find that very interesting. We had Danielle Hale on to talk about that. Sellers are split, drop the price or delist, so 1 in 5 listings had a price reduction in the month of June, and renting remains easier as a path for many who are trying to find housing. Lisa, what do you think about these takeaways? Anything new here? I don't see anything earth-shattering, but there's a consistent call that rates are going to be coming down to 6.4%, and everything else is stuff we've been talking about on the pod all year.
No surprises. I'm going to say I'm disappointed because I am remembering Byron and I had a bet kind of going that started at the Realtor.com. There's no chance I get there. I think my number was like 4.3 million, and I think we're going to be lucky to get 4 million. I think even 4 is going to be a push based on what we're seeing right now. Even here in New England, which has traditionally been a really, really healthy market, everything is correct. Inventory is up. I think our price adjustments are more than 1 in 5. If I really pull the data, I think we're going to find that we're slightly higher than that. Maybe 1 in 4 listings is having a price adjustment. And rates, I lose there too. Although I was over. I think all 3 of us had actually been over, but I don't think I was. I thought we would be closer to like 6.5, and I don't see even 6.5 coming out as the average at the end of the year. So not shocked.
Well, their revised average now is at 6.7, Realtor.com. Yep. In December, their original year forecast had an average throughout the year at 6.3. Yeah. To get to 6.3, and this is one of the things we asked Danielle, like to get to 6.3, you got to really be closer to 6 for an extended period of time. Certainly with where we've been at the first 7 months of the year, you would have had to have been, have an extended period of time closer to 6. So they went from 6.3 on the average to 6.7. Makes sense. 6.7 is where we've been hovering. I did find it interesting because Danielle, when we talked to her on the pod earlier in the year, she's like, until we come out with our mid-year, we're sticking by the low 6 number is where we'll end the year on the 30-year fix. That's been revised to 6.4. So much closer now to 6.5. But if we got to 6.4 on December 31st, would you guys take that? If we went into January 1 at 6.4, it's not like everything you want, but would you take it based on the first 7 months of the year?
I think anything that's below 6.5, even like 6.49 is a huge win. I think 6.5 is what will actually start to ignite the market back. But God bless. I don't know that I don't know that we get there. Like, I would love to see it. And I've been saying that to everybody. I think anything 6.4999, I think will start to unlock the market a little bit and get buyers off the fence. But I don't know that we get there.
I think 6.5 is helpful. I think 6 is where you really see a jump up on existing home sales. So to your point about our bet that, or the, we all put basically our number in the hat when we were in Georgia in October on what it would be. I think my number was 4.2 million existing home sales, which was like a 5% jump. We're trending lower. June's NAR report came down negative 2.7 on existing home sales. This realtor.com, mid-year forecast, updated forecast, has us coming in lower than last year at 4 million. Remember last year we were at 4.07 million. And so, not a huge surprise on their revisions, and not the only thing that I think is a surprise to me is how much more bullish realtor.com is on mortgage rates. And I know 6.4 year end doesn't sound bullish, but in comparison to some other projections and their beginning of the year projection on mortgage rates was bullish. So still on the bullish side of mortgage rates, that we'll see it coming down throughout the year. And I hope it does.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I mean, it'd be nice. 6.5 will get some people's attention, but for the agents listening, when you're in a market like this, and Byron, Lisa, and I have all been through these things, it's where you got to stick your nose to the grindstone. You got to have high volume conversations. You got to determine what motivation is, because we're going to see even less transactions, right? I mean, I think that's incredible to me. And I mean, it's charting the same way in the Philadelphia metro area. Closed sales are up like 2.4%. Pending sales are down about 1.5%. So it's kind of like a wash. And there's people I talk to regularly on our team outside our organization that are having great years, that are increasing their business. So don't let this market data, and we're going to talk about headlines later with Patrick Bet David. I wish he was coming on, but we're just going to listen to a clip. But
I wonder if we could get him.
Maybe. Byron, if anyone could, Byron could.
That would be fun.
I don't know, maybe Alex Hormozy can arm wrestle him to come on or something. So I'll make Byron set that up. But don't let these headlines discourage
Alex is
you.
willing to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Don't let these headlines get you off your game, right? I mean, I've been through up markets, down markets. There's opportunity out there because there are people that do want to transact. The demand has waned a little bit, but there's still a lot of folks out there. You just got to go find them. And I'm a big believer that through the right scripting, educating folks with data, and just having high volume conversations constantly, it's going to dramatically change your business. And we all got agents on our team that are having their great years. Byron, you're just crested over 400 transactions. We talked about that before the show. There's opportunity out there. So don't be a negative Nancy, be a positive Pete.
There is, yes, there is always opportunity out there. I guess when you're looking nationally, and we're at the lowest sales transactions now, third year in a row since 1995. And like you mentioned, my team, we are growing our market share. So as some of the agents with a real process on how they're doing business, when we're growing market share, when the knowledge brokers are taking more of a smaller dish, there's a lot of opportunity, but the dish is smaller. We were at 6.5 million existing home sales just 3-4 years ago, beginning of 22, when you seasonally adjusted it out, it was 6.5 million. This is a huge decrease. And to me, this is what, I don't want to take the negative side, but I'll just kind of take the other side of this for a second. There are too many agents out there kidding themselves that their business is growing because they're always saying, I've got something else coming. I'm working on this. And I don't want to invest in this type of lead because I'm so romantic about building, on this kind of lead that I want. I want this kind of client. I want this kind of customer. Well, when there's a shrinking share of transactions and the major players, Rocket's not kidding around. Zillow's not kidding around. When that share of transaction generation is growing, the whole pie is shrinking, and agents are being romantic about not getting business from certain places. There's just going to be little opportunity for those. I mean, and listen, I don't think you're listening to the Knowledge Brokers podcast if you think small, if you think in one way only. But that's one of the things I'm seeing more of. Remember, 71% of agents didn't do a deal last year. And
pathetic.
Yeah.
You know what I think is important too, though, is like, I think market share is definitely one component of it, no doubt. But I think the other like massive opportunity that exists right now that agents need to be keeping an eye on is increasing the profitability per transaction.
Absolutely.
Right.
Boom.
So,
Yeah.
and I say this all the time. I think we get so focused on, and I'm guilty of it. I remember 2021, I was chasing the numbers for the
Same.
number of units closed and the amount of volume that we closed without looking at what was I actually profiting. And I've said this publicly. I'll say it again now. My most profitable years have been the years where I've actually done fewer sales. And so I think that that's super important to remember as well, and goes to not just being a real estate agent, not just being a knowledge broker, but being a true business owner and a true business leader.
This year's been the greatest opportunity to increase profits.
Yep.
That I can remember. So you've got record high prices. And so, you can say, okay, record high prices increases price point, but you could also just increase your price point. You could do that in any given year. But this was the first true 12-month test of wide open, true negotiations on comp.
It's all, what's funny? You're right. We are at almost 11 months to the day, right?
Yeah.
So, and I remember saying, like, it's going to be really fun for everybody to look back when we get to that August 2025 and really watch and see what's happened. And I can't wait for that day, because Byron, I'm going to gloat with you so bad about.
Well, you were ahead of it. I'm half right, because across the industry, buy side comp has.
Oh, yeah. You're also half wrong. So be half right and half wrong.
Oh, I'm half right, because
across, half wrong. That'll be an equal
industry,
sign. That's an equal sign.
No way. Absolutely not. You were dead wrong.
No, I
dead
wasn't.
wrong. No, you were dead wrong. No, you were
right,
not.
I'm going to jump in here.
Let me finish what I was
know exactly where you're going with this.
I'll be the judge.
Across the industry, buy side comp is ticking down. It's not plummeting. It's ticking down. The race to the bottom is a real thing for a lot of agents. Because remember, if 7 out of 10 agents aren't doing a deal, when they get an opportunity, they're like your little puppy dog that you were sending me and Tom pictures of last week, and that I don't give two craps about, begging you for a treat. Just some of these agents that don't do a deal are like. And so there is a race to the bottom on buy side comp. Now, where you were dead right.
I disagree.
Where you were dead right, and where it's worked out for buyer agents and team, and like my team in particular, who has a process of how we go through this, there's been an opportunity to increase comp, and I was hesitant to buy into that being a reality. We trained on it being a potential reality, and it's worked out, and you were 100% right on that side of the coin.
And where I'm going to,
but it hasn't been for everybody.
Well, but I disagree with some of what you said. I don't think that it's a race to the bottom for some agents. I think it's a race out of the industry and a leveling up of those that are going to remain in the industry. And as that shakes out, I think that we're going to find that buy side comp is going to level out at a higher point, not in the next 2 years, not in the next 3 years, not maybe in the next 5 years, because it's going to take some time for that bottom level agent to truly be out. But I think it was the start of a shift in the industry, far bigger than just a race to the bottom for half of the agents. Do either of you know what is the stat? Like, what percentage of agents have seen a decrease versus what percentage have seen an increase? Do either of you know?
There hasn't been enough. I mean, it's 11 months in. We've seen some data.
Yep.
I mean, on the overall, when Redfin comes out with their numbers showing it ticking down, it doesn't break up the agent count to the way you're describing. And there's been a couple other reports that I've dug into that haven't. Maybe Mike Del Prete will do it. He might be the guy that could say, here's how many agents are going down and how many are going up. But I would imagine, just taking a stab at it, it's probably that 80-20 rule, or 90-10 rule. It's the 10 to 20% in any MLS that own the market share, that are probably driving. And so, to Lisa's point, comp on the overall, if you're doing market share, that 10-20% of agents that control 80% of market share, if they're moving in one direction, then in 2-3 years, I guess Lisa could be right that, hey, that comp overall stabilizes or even moves up, because the market share holders have a process and a value that more customers want.
Well, this has
Yeah,
already been going on. Okay. This has happened on the sell side with for sale by owners, limited service brokers. There's known commission cutters in all of our markets. I could give you the names of the people in our market that do this, and you end up competing with them a lot if you're going after expired listings for sale by owners and the competitive hand raisers. And those people are going to do some business, but I've also come in, they've been fired, whether it's like the $500 list me or whatever. We all got those services, the MLS placement. This has already happened. And consumers have shown a willingness to pay more on the sell side in many cases, especially when it doesn't work out or when they're interviewing people. And that's documented. I mean, I've got 25 years of data on that. So I think there is something to Lisa's point. We just haven't seen it on the buy side. So, but studies show and data shows and history shows that's already happening on the list side.
I have a recent example. I went on a listing appointment with an agent and they were listed $200,000 more than where we listed them at with their last agent. They were on for about 30 days. They had a really bad process, no plan, no approach to the market. So we got a $200,000 reduction, put our process in place, and we increased comp from where they were at on the list side by a total of 1.5 from where they were previously at. And they didn't even have an objection. They made it known, hey, we were 1.5 lower than where, with the last agent. And yeah, how did that process work out for you? And they didn't even question it because they're like, this is you've walked me through the process. I understand how we're going to attract, buyers, and I understand how we're going to be moving forward. And, to Tom always says it, 3-point plan. If you have an agent, I would argue that if you're going to hire an agent with a 3-point plan as a seller, you might as well just do it yourself. You might as well pay zero and just take the work on yourself.
We've got a case study just like that too. I told you guys about that sale over the weekend. It's close to $2 million expired listing. We got a massive price adjustment because it was drastically over. They were going to hire someone from like an hour away too. And we were able to get in there. We understood the local market. I had a lot of connections in the community. We've got a track record, and they sold and they're happy because they're moving. That's what people want. You get paid to deliver in this business. So, I mean, we could give case study after case study here. So,
Lisa, do you want to wrap final thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I'll just say, I think the one thing that I'm kind of pull it back to the buy side, right? And I think the thing that agents need to be aware of now is that they've got to change that buyer presentation. So if you think back 12 months ago, it was, hey, how are we going to find you the home? How are we going to win in the offer situation? And I think everyone needs to now be a little bit aware of the fact that we might need to be pivoting to how are our negotiation skills going to get the buyer the best deal possible when there's multiple options available for the buyer? How are we going to leverage getting the buyer the best price in a situation where negotiating power is coming into play? So I think everybody just needs to be a little bit aware of that. Watch the stats in your particular market and think ahead, like where does your buyer presentation need to be to warrant the 3.5, or 4% compensation on the buyer side? Because if you can show the value with how you can save the buyer money, just like in your case, Byron, with helping the seller get it sold, that seller was willing to pay more. If you can show a buyer how you can negotiate $25,000, $50,000 in savings, a buyer's going to be willing to pay more for those negotiation skills.
Do you guys get the, I call this the daily vomit report, where like you use like Fellow or something and it says all the transactions you missed in your database, right?
Yep.
You get these. So I go in, this is becoming, and we're super deep on CRM management because it's coaching based on data. It's not just what you think is going on, which is what any coaching or mentorship should really be, not like a go get 'em pep talk and then no follow through. This is real stuff. So I get this report and I'll go look in I get it daily and we have it systemized. So it's a time block in my calendar and I'll tag the agent in Follow-Up Boss and say, hey, like this happened. Invariably, what I see happening are they didn't want to sign a buyer agency contract and then there was no follow-up, or they stopped communicating with them. There's a play that works here for everybody, which is if they don't want to meet with you, they don't want to sign the contract, offer to walk them through the process. Hey, has anyone taken the time to talk about these new changes with you? Has anyone taken the time to talk about your goals? It is such a simple script. We talk about it on the BAMX role play all the time. We do it on our team role play all the time. Just if you get anything from this episode, write that down, and that will increase your conversion and your comp. And then you've got to have the lockdown presentation, like you said, Lisa. And it's not that difficult. Just people just don't want to do it. I don't understand sometimes, but it's it's a play that works, and we see a lot of conversion missed because people don't take that step. The Daily Vomit Report. It's a good one there, guys. So, all right, Redfin. Let's move on here. So, Redfin,
Using my wife's text message, the Daily Vomit Report.
No, that's I'm gonna send that to Nicole. Can we clip that out, Bobby, and just text?
Actually, Lisa's text messages on the weekends of the Daily Vomit when she sends me photos of her dog.
Dude, I love that little puppy. She is the cutest thing. You have to. Lisa, adorable.
Flew to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the metropolis of Harrisburg, the capital of the Keystone State, to get this dog.
Puppies.
There's a lot of breeders in the middle of Pennsylvania. That's for sure. There's nothing else to do.
She has a great show line of little German short hair pointers, and literally, this puppy is perfect.
Is your puppy Amish?
Half, maybe.
That's not the Amish area, but that's more Lancaster County. But I'm the Pennsylvania expert here. All right, enough of this puppy talk. So, Redfin, I got to give Redfin credit here because they come up with this report regularly, and I know we've talked about this. We monitor cancellations. That's a number we track in our level 10 meetings each week, because you ever have like an agent, like they put a deal under contract and it blows out right away, like constantly, like that's like a coaching opportunity. That's where the data comes in. So Redfin released this report that 1 in 7 pending home sales fell through last month in June, the highest level of June on record. That's a big number, because if you look at his history, the only time it's really gone north of 15% is during COVID, or when rates spiked to 8% in October of 2023. The highest before that was June of 2023 at 14.5%. And there was 57,000 home sale agreements nationwide that were canceled, just over that, which is a massive number. There's obviously a lot of things factoring in there. I know we saw this, and it made me feel a little better. It was a national trend. Not that I like cancellations. Byron, we were talking about this before the pod. What's your reaction to this? Obviously, there's a lot of things here where, buyers are starting to have some leverage. Sellers are kind of late to the party sometimes. What do you guys see here as the reason behind this? Obviously, we can go through the report here, but that is a trend I think people need to be aware
of. So I think that I think agents are partly to blame. I think if you look at when these spikes started, June of 2022 kind of started it, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're kind of in an upward trajectory. A lot of agents, 2020, 2021, never had to negotiate inspections. And I think, again, I come back to they don't have the skill. And I think not everybody asks for help when they need it. We do something here. We help our newer agents by reviewing their offers before they send them out for signature and stuff, just so that we can make sure dates and everything line up.
Yeah.
And we just got one while we were starting to film the pod. I didn't open it up yet, but we asked, one of the questions is, what information did you gather from the listing agent? And sure as shit, the previous buyer pulled out because of the furnace, looking for a clean offer this time around. Like a furnace, that should have been able to be identified when you were viewing the property, right? And there's a fix for that. There's a way to negotiate and keep that contract together if both agents are skilled. I swear by it. I think the biggest issue is that there's a lack of agent skill right now.
So there's going to be a normal level, and I'm sure Bobby's bringing up that chart that Tom's referring to from Redfin. I think pre-pandemic, the normal level was like 10, 11, 12%.
Correct.
It was 10.3 to 12% was the range.
Was the pre-pandemic range. And so now we're up over 15%, and it's the highest June ever recorded. So we're talking about that 3-4% increase. And Lisa, you're giving...
But that's 30 to 40%. If you look at it,
it's a big jump. No, absolutely. And so if we're carving up the blame pie here, how much of percent are you giving to agents on that increase on the blame pie out of 100%?
75%.
Wow.
Oh, big number.
I do, because I think it's agents on both sides, right? It's if agents are able to explain it to, let's take the sell side. If they're able to explain it to a seller, either as they prep that home for market, right? How many times have you walked through a home and said to the seller, I see this, this, and this, please get it addressed before a home inspection, because in a buyer's head, this repair is going to cost 3 times what it's actually going to cost if you take care of it now. Flip side, right? And that coaching isn't happening at the level that it needs to be happening at. Sellers are still thinking they can throw it on the market. It's just going to sell. It's not a big deal, whatever. The agent's not coaching through it. Sell side also, they get the inspection request. The list comes over with 5 or 7 things, and the agent doesn't have the skill to talk the seller off the ledge and say, you know what, it's the starting point for negotiations. Let's give them 1 or 2 things that are legitimate and push back on the rest to try to work to keep this deal together. On the buy side, agents aren't future pacing it enough as they walk through the property, pointing out what they see. Home inspections are designed to uncover defects that are hidden from the eye and not readily accessible by a layperson. The age of a furnace, I promise, a skilled agent can go look at the furnace.
It has
and
the
tell by
install date
looking
on
at
the
it.
label. I mean, it's just like I could not agree with you more. We do the same thing, right? We call it the deal hotline, and we also require that every agent, if they terminate, they fill out a form that's called a termination notice, because we got to track this stuff. And invariably, you'll see people that they don't want to reach out for help. They think they know everything. And then they work so hard to get someone under contract and the deal dies. And then you look at the reasons. We got one yesterday. House was full of mold. I'm like, you can detect that with your nose. You can detect that when you're looking at the basement. You're not looking at this property in the correct way. And now your client has lost faith in you as an agent. Like, it's not just the term deal. You can lose clients this way. And because everything's all our fault, Lisa, as real estate agents, I think that's something you got to internalize here. I wouldn't have gone as high as 75%. I was thinking more like 60-ish, but we're talking about the same thing. And the sell side, I think, is even worse, because our friend Jill Biggs, maybe we can get this photo up here. Did you see that billboard she posted about like?
Dude, it got 25,000 shares on BAM and broke it. It went
nutty.
She got millions of impressions.
I had people sending it to me, like people outside the industry,
post.
like, and I'm like, yeah, I know Jill. I'm like, but
we know Jill and we know BAM.
Yes, been there, done that. But what she said in that billboard and why it was so effective, it was like, we sold 526 homes. Your cousin sold 2. List responsibly. That's the best slogan out of the whole thing. List responsibly.
Yeah, I love that.
It's so true, because these people freak out about inspections. And instead of saying, hey, I know this looks like a lot, let's take some time to read through this. I'm going to give you a call at 2:00 and let's go through everything together. And having knowledge of what this stuff costs, right? I mean, as I'd imagine both of you could itemize some of the common things that come up, like a deteriorated electrical service line or a radon system, like, and tell people what it's going to cost and be a ballpark. And hey, a lot of inspectors are alarmists. Let's work through this. Let's get some numbers, because we're going to have to disclose this anyway. Most of these people are like, oh, we can get a better price. Or they just think, I don't need to know how to negotiate inspections. They get frustrated with it and they give up. Well, I see stuff all the time about entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are made up of the people that are the last one standing and that are willing to have some patience here and learn a skill. So I do agree that there's a big miss there, and some people just don't pay attention to it, and it's a problem. Like, imagine you get so far down the line, right? And especially on some of these listings, you only got one shot to sell these places. Like, the listing has been on the market, it's been a little difficult. Like, it's like, this is my chance to sell it. I better get this done. That's a big miss, because going back to the market is not what it used to be in 2025.
So what you guys are saying, both of you guys, makes a lot of sense. And I agree. There's such an increase in the marginal agent, unfortunately, that is happening in this industry, and the agent that's not skilled to have these conversations. But my blame pie is, if you're at 60, Tom, and Lisa's at 75, I'm below 50, because I've got Jerome Powell at least 50% of the blame pie, at least.
I probably surprise pick.
He goes not with fallout. He gets 50% of the blame for why sales might not crest 4 million. He doesn't get 50% of the blame for the fallout.
He does, yes, he does. Because everything happening in real estate right now, it's just been too long. I mean, Trump keeps calling them too late. It has been too long of Powell keeping the rate at a very restrictive policy. So 3 years of a real estate, now 3+ years of a real estate recession, it's all on his plate right now. And because him and Trump really don't like each other, he's going to try to kind of wring this thing out further and further. They're not going to cut next week. this is the last piece of the puzzle that needs to happen right now, is a cut coming from the FOMC. He wants nothing to do with it. Jerome Powell hates real estate. He's clearly stated it over the 3 years in all of his pressers. He has no interest in real estate. He would much rather see a renter nation. Doesn't give a care in the world about it. Only cares about his legacy. He wants to be a legacy Fed chairman in terms of inflation and employment. The only two things he cares about, and he's driving this industry down. It's 17% of the GDP. And right now the rate, it's such a rate sensitive industry, such a rate sensitive market. And so the indecision that buyers have and sellers have is because they don't have a clear picture of what's coming in the future. Because Jerome Powell doesn't give anybody a clear picture.
I disagree.
All he talks about is uncertainty because he's still afraid the tariff boogeyman is going to come out from under his bed and attack him.
I get, but that's why sales are going to stay low, not why the contracts get canceled.
Yeah, like contracts get canceled because inventory is rising. Ooh, should I go to get that deal? I'm uncertain. Maybe the future. Maybe I should wait.
Yeah, but that's like, happened. I mean, we live in a 10-year cycle, right? Like we know we live in real estate is so cyclical. Like this one ran longer than historic cycles. Historic cycles are 10 years. This one ran 12, 13 years. This is the normal cycle. It's actually good in some ways.
Now we're in client indecision time. That's where you get cancellations. They're unsure. Should I wait? Is next spring going to be better?
I disagree because I think you would find, I think if you ran the data on those, I think you'd find that most of those buyers then went under contract on a different property. Well, I don't think that the vast majority are pulling out and saying, I've changed my mind. I don't think now is the time to buy. I think what they're doing is saying, I don't know that I want to buy this house.
There's indecision, obviously, on fringe buyers on waiting for the rate. But I'm talking about the indecisiveness of a buyer saying, oh, there's another one that came on the market. I think I could negotiate a better deal there. Should I wait a little bit longer? Think Cape Coral, Florida. Should I wait another week, another month for another lower price reduction?
I'm with you there, which is why I said that sales are low, but that's not the
markets. If you look at this data here, like the Sun Belt metros have the highest cancellation rates. So I think you're going to this is a national number. Jacksonville, Florida, 21.4%, right? Insane numbers. Las Vegas, 19.7%. They sell houses, so they don't have anything to worry about.
They sell a ton of them.
Atlanta, 19.6%. I mean, you're seeing the other metros, San Antonio, Tampa, Orlando, Riverside, California, Phoenix, Fort Worth, and Miami are the top 10. Then you go to let's pull up Boston, right? Boston, Mass, 10%, up from 8.4 from last June. Philadelphia is 13% up from 11.2. So Newark, New Jersey, 10.4 from 9. New York's at 8.7 from 8.2. So we're seeing that this is a regional trend, but they spiked. And I think there is a market dependency here. But, when you have a system like Lisa's talking about, and Byron, I know you guys have the same system we do too, where you're helping agents work through this, you got to use the system. I mean, that's the mistake I think a lot of people make. They don't ask for help. They try to figure it out, and their business gets hurt by it. And that's for the people that are listening. And I think you're right, Byron, that a lot of the listeners here are open-minded to coaching and help. They're already there. But if you're a new agent or you don't know what you're doing, get some help on this stuff because you got time. There's time frames built into the contracts. There's nothing worse to me than getting a buyer under contract and then going out and showing them more houses afterwards and never knowing if they're going to go under agreement again. A listing's not as bad, but it's sometimes you only got one shot to sell these places for the price the seller wants. So I think Ryan Serhant told you, Byron, he works for the deal. And I think that's a really clear mindset a lot of people need to have right now. I'm representing my client. Well, your goal is to get the client the house. So if you can work it out, it's probably what they want. Let's not dig our heels in the sand here and think we're taking a stand on the wrong thing.
All right, I'm over this one. What's next?
All right. Yeah, there was a data breach. Right, we got 12 minutes here. We're good. There's a data breach.
Cigar meeting coming up.
Big cigar. Lunch? Are you having lunch with the cigar?
I was just gonna say, is it lunch too? With a puppy?
Tobacco and caffeine for lunch. No puppies.
He's probably eating the place. He's gonna have a dog burger, Lisa. That's probably what he's happening. So, all right, there was a nation's the largest MLS platforms. They got hit with a data breach. FlexMLS and Matrix provide software to many of the MLS services, and there was a data breach that happened where the data breach hit multiple MLSs. The latter of which was created by Totality, which is now the company formerly known as CoreLogic. It's like Prince, I guess. And the issue, like we had to reset our passwords with Bright. I don't know how these people have these data breaches. Like the MLSs, like what does a CEO of an MLS really do? They can't make sure their security's tight enough. You got all these people's information in there. We had to reset passwords. I couldn't get into the MLS for like a day, which was fantastic. And I guess a lot of the emails sent, Lisa, you had some information on that. Tell us a little bit more about what you found out about these emails that were being sent out and how the data was actually breached.
Yeah, well, so twofold. One is that, so it sounds like you were lucky to get back into MLS in a day because it was reported that the outage crippled the day-to-day operations of thousands of real estate agents across the country for nearly 2 weeks. Could you imagine not being able to access MLS?
I could manage that because
weeks?
Boomtown crashed for a month last year, and I went through that. So yes, I understand exactly what's going on, and that would suck.
Yeah. So it looks like what was being sent were emails to email addresses outside of the US. So really kind of spammy stuff, kind of going, what the content of the emails were, they haven't really released that. Why it was sent to email addresses outside the US, they haven't released that, but definitely kind of kicked up all sorts of additional conversations about security, bringing in, because Boomtown was about a year ago too, right? Just maybe 18 months ago.
April. Great time for your CRM to go down in the Northeast. April.
Yeah, spring.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it says that they're still looking into exactly what it was, but the majority of the malicious emails appear to have been sent to email addresses outside the US with no connection to Totality, the MLS clients, or the individual agents. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out if they do eventually release all of those emails. The kicker is that the access was provided because the hackers had legitimate credentials. So I think, again, kind of good rule of thumb for everybody, if you're not using a super secure password system like LastPass or something else that gives you unique passwords and stores them securely, might be time to investigate it, because if your MLS credentials get leaked, what else is getting leaked? Forget just your business, like your personal banking passwords and everything else. But that's, I think some of the big takeaways is that the hackers appear to have gotten legit login information. It's not like they hacked in through a breach of some sort, like a security gap.
Hopefully our group text never gets leaked.
Could you imagine?
If the group chats leak, we're all done.
We always say that about the BAM text too. One way to cancel the company. So that last point, Lisa, that you made ties into the take that I have on this. The business has changed so much.
Yep.
And if the rocket acquisition of Redfin hasn't shown you that, or Zillow's integrated transaction, flywheel of a transaction for customers isn't showing you that, and the lightning speed that they're moving on all facets of the deal. And, obviously what Realtor.com, they just had a big acquisition, what they're doing, and these major players in real estate right now. And obviously you've got the brokerage battles and all of that kind of stuff. This is big boy, big girl business now in real estate. And you're going to have a lot of small brokers. I just heard one say this yesterday that they're going to say, this is a relationship business, and they're going to live and die on that sword. And it is a relationship business. There's no question about it. But there's going to be a bunch of people running around like, oh, that's why, I'm a belly to belly guy. And, it's a relationship business.
I think only fat people say that.
I was just going to say, all I see are sumo wrestlers.
Yeah. I see fat 70-year-old real estate brokers.
And everybody worried about
Mustaches.
social and tech. No, this is all about your customer service experience on software. Your ability to obviously protect that speaks to how, and some things are going to be out of your control, but it speaks to how deeply integrated you are into where business is going. It is not just a relationship within your community business any longer. You have to be the best in your community at understanding the tech side of real estate, understanding how customers are acquired through social and through online. And on a third element of it, once you get in front of the customer, yes, being relationally savvy, but it's not the only thing anymore. You know, Mike Ferry just celebrated 50 years. Congratulations, Mike Ferry. But his playbook is outdated. It's relevant. It's a foundational building block.
It's a piece. It's a piece.
It's a
I agree.
piece. It's a cornerstone. It's not how business is going to be done over the next 10 years. It's just not. And this is a wake-up call. Like, if you're not operating the way, you know, we talk about all the time, I want to watch my Uber driver. If he makes a stupid left turn, I'm firing him before he gets here. People want to watch their pizza being made from Domino's. It's one of the, like, Mosaic now is integrated into BAMX for everybody. It's one of the reasons I love that for an agent that doesn't have great tech. Like, you can get it if you're a BAMX member tomorrow, where somebody sees every element of the transaction that you're in. You need to be thinking like every other business that you integrate with as a consumer for your real estate business. And you got to be careful, obviously, on the security stuff and do what you can to protect that. And Lisa made some good points on that. But the whole business is changing. It's not 1985 anymore. That pin on your sports jacket that has R on it isn't enough. It's not enough.
I love this take, Byron. I think you talked a couple of weeks ago about the agents that have that badge of honor. I work by referral only. Your business is never going to grow. You're not going to acquire the group of people you don't know, which is a whole ton of them. And it's so relevant right now. And a lot of folks, that they don't want to do it. They think it's like a badge of honor that they don't have to work with portals and all these other places. Well, if you want to sell like 10 homes a year, cool. But you know, we've all proven this. You've got to go outside what the normal playbook is for a lot of these agents that are in their golden years that are still out there. And you've got to go out and, you know, digitally market yourself. I mean, direct mail still works, but the digital marketing is so critical right now. And you got to look at where the consumers are going. They're not going to your website. They're going to Zillow and Realtor.com and Google. And now they're asking ChatGPT and other AIs about real estate agents. This is the stuff you got to get real with, or you're going to be left behind.
You've got a CRM for leads. Great. Don't want that to go away. But what about your clients? Most agents drop the ball after the deal. That's why they're called past clients. There's real money is in the referrals, the repeat business, staying top of mind for a year, making past clients actual clients. If your follow-up is just random check-in or a happy home anniversary, you're invisible. That's why my team uses Mosaic, and that's why the Mosaic team just made it available to all BAMX members at no additional monthly cost. Mosaic is a high-touch client experience platform. It picks up where your CRM leaves off, personalized property search, offer comparisons, real-time transaction timelines, automated homeowner reminders, equity updates long after the closing. This means your clients feel supported with you without duct taping 5 different systems together. And here's what makes this deal insane. Mosaic is normally $150 to $250 a month, but BAMX members, you get full access included in your $97 a month membership. If you're doing the math, that's like us paying you $150 every month just to stay ahead of your clients, just to keep your clients. Spots are limited by market for Mosaic. Some are already full. So if you're in a competitive area, go claim your seat now. Go to school.com/BAMX or hit the link. We did a $6 million transaction this year, or just under 6. It came in just under 6 with a, think of the major 5, 6, 7 social media platforms. I won't give the name, but one of those platforms, an executive level person from one of those platforms bought the property and went through, connected with us as a Zillow Flex partner, went through Zillow to buy the property. And one of the lenders that we work with is like, I can't imagine why a near $6 million buyer who's, an executive at one of these big major social media companies would go through Zillow to find their agent. Are you kidding me? You can't understand that? A technology person using what they perceive as the best app in the world to be connected to real estate professionals and homes. Like, what world are you living in? You can't understand. Well, I just don't understand how they didn't have an agent relationship, because the business is changing. They might have had 3 or 4 relationships, but you know what they trusted more than those 3 or 4 relationships? Was the brand and the technology and the software and where the world is going. And that's what they put their faith in. The world's changing. Your business is changing. It is not just a drop a cupcake off because it's cute and shake a hand. No, it's a new world. Get with it.
Okay.
Well,
Video time.
So we're going to, well said, Byron. I think we all agree here on this. I don't think there's any question about that. So Patrick Bet David, we got this clip from Byron a day or two ago. Bobby's going to play the clip. He had his CFO, Tom Ellsworth, on, and I think this is something that agents are combating right now. Let's play the video and react to it. I don't even need to give it an intro.
Record high in June, dragging down sales. Home prices hit record high in June, okay? Dragging down sales. Let's go through this. So the national median existing home price in June rose to $435,000. A record in data going back to 1919, a 2% increase from a year earlier, while U.S. existing home sales fell 2.7% from prior month to a seasonal adjusted annual rate of 3.93 million. The slowest pace since September, according to the National Association of Realtors. Home buyers were hesitant with unaffordable home prices and mortgage rates above 6.5%, making purchases difficult. Lawrence Yun, NAR's chief economist, said, the fact that we hit record high home prices is reflecting multiple years of undersupply. Nationally, there were 1.53 million homes for sale or under contract at the end of June, down 0.6% from May, but up 15.9% from June of 2024, with more than 1 in 4 listings on Zillow getting a price cut. That's a big number. The highest proportion for any June since at least 2018. Diana Ayala Sefi, branch manager at New American Funding in San Antonio, stated there is a lot more inventory and the demand is not that great. So that makes for a better market for who? Noting sellers are becoming a lot more flexible. So this story, Tom, is a weird story. It's a story that's telling you the prices are going up, but it's also telling you sellers are more flexible to wanting to sell. Tom, your thoughts on this story?
Well, I don't know who's more full of crap, politicians or headline writers. And I am getting, I just, you know what we should do every day? You know what we should do every day, Pat? Just have 15 minutes. All of us sit here and we just go fast popcorn. We decode headlines for the short attention span reader. For people that don't want to read headlines, they just want to know what it means. And we could just do it. So home prices hit record highs, dragging down sales. No, sales have been low for now 3 years. Record lows. And what that means is the number of houses that transacted, Vinny. Like Vinny, we've been looking at Zillow. You were looking at down here. You're looking for a nice condo, 2-car garage, so that you've got
put a wife in it too.
All right, we can react from here, probably.
Another smart guy named Tom, understanding the headlines here really well. Tom Ellsworth, I love what he said. Like it's so true that we just talked about it. We're coming off the lowest level of transactions since '95, and it's going to be even lower. And it just demonstrates why you got to know the data when you're talking to your clients. I don't know what else to say. I think that's straightforward. And it's got to be a time block in your calendar. If you're not doing it now as a knowledge broker, pay attention, look at your stats, be able to communicate it and tell people what it means when they say what's going on in the market. This is real estate. I wouldn't say it's 101, but it's like 201.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Byron.
No, I was just going to make the record sale price. People keep waiting for these prices to come down. What's the motivation? Boomers own $19+ trillion of real estate. 40% of homeowners don't have a mortgage. The reason why there's low transactions is there's not a lot of incentive for a lot of sellers to get onto the market and trade into something else. There'll be pockets where home price has pressure, but there's not going to be a dramatic shift in prices because there's not a strong desire for enough homeowners to compete with each other. There's not enough urgency for sellers. They're starting to grow some, and that's where you're seeing inventory rise. In places where they build a lot, it's a little bit worse. But it's not the price that's dragging down. Again, it's Jerome Powell that's dragging down the transactions based on his interest rate policy. Go ahead, Lisa.
I think Byron wrote the fake letter that got circulated on the internet to put it out there. I mean, is this what had? Did we uncover something here? Unsolved mysteries on knowledge brokers?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say you've not just got to know the data, Tom, but you've got to be able to know the national data, know the local data, and then know the super, super local data, and then understand what messaging is being put out in market so that you can understand the mindset that your consumers are coming in, the messaging that they're hearing, so that it gives you a little bit more understanding. And I would be remiss if I didn't. Did we talk about the Coldplay thing?
Didn't we talk about this last week?
Did we? Was it last week or the week before?
Well, that guy's gone. He had to resign. Shocking. He had to resign. I mean, it's what a clown.
I thought we talked about it because it was in Boston. And I didn't know if you were in that suite with them or.
Yeah, we definitely talked about this.
Oh,
I've got a couple memes I can share with you guys later. I think Newman from Seinfeld was identified as the camera operator. Well,
I liked the one from the Phillies. That one was really good.
The next day, the Philly Fanatics there with the Mrs. Fanatic.
This is why you don't mix business with that. You know how many in-office relationships and real estate relationships there are? It is rather disgusting, if you ask me. But you know, this is one of the reasons you don't mix that crap. And
you don't shit where you eat, Byron. My first boss told me that at Rita's Water Ice.
Yeah, I mean, you got a wife and you're 16. Taking a date with somebody else. You know, it's it's infuriating enough if your wife invites you to a concert and you got to go to a concert. But then, I thought the whole point. I said this on the pod last week. The whole point of a mistress, I thought, was for the pleasure side, not the dating side.
I don't think you said on the pod. I think that was all cold open. That was all stricken from the record.
What the fuck is going on here?
I said this to my wife. I'm I'm super confused now on what a mistress was supposed to be. I thought a mistress was just for the pleasure side, not the annoying side of going on a date.
Stop talking! Stop talking!
Podcast?
Is that a bad thing to say? My assumption. Listen, I'm 40. I'll be 41 in a month or so, a little over a month, I guess. And
Lisa, are you okay over there? You're having a hard time.
Lisa, my wife.
My eyes are leaking. I'm laughing so
my
hard.
wife and I have been together since we were 17. So I don't have much experience in this, but just from my perception. And so my wife says, this isn't a mob movie where you just I thought you just go into the hotel room and you have your mistress. She's kind of sitting there and, you know, you guys do your thing and you bounce out. And she's like, no, this isn't a mob movie from the 70s, Byron. This is when people have a mistress, they go on dates. I'm like, well, not for me then. I mean, I barely want to go on dates with my wife. But all of a sudden want to do it with a second person. That's insane.
Oh my God. Stop talking. Stop talking.
All right. I got
Byron is anti-mistress just because of his own time infringement.
I'm anti-mistress. Might have been Tony Soprano style mistress.
We're all anti on that here. That's very clear. We're all anti. There's no question about that.
Tony Soprano made mistresses seem very easy. Not the case, we learned from Coldplay.
See you guys next week.